Hey Taurus, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into something that I know has been weighing on your heart. We are looking at what happens with this love triangle situation you have been dealing with. I have been getting so many requests about this specific topic, and honestly, the energy around it right now is incredibly potent. So let us just get straight into the cards because they have a lot to say. Before we start, I just want to say that whatever comes through today is meant to guide you, not to create fear or anxiety. The universe always has your back even when things feel confusing or painful. So take what resonates and leave what does not. And if you are new here, I do these readings with pure intention to help you navigate your path with clarity and wisdom. All right, Taurus, let me shuffle these cards and see what the universe wants you to know about this triangle you are in. The energy I am feeling right now is intense but also transformative. There is something about this situation that is meant to shift you into a completely different version of yourself. The first card I pulled for you is the Queen of Swords, and wow, this is such a powerful card to start with. When I see the Queen of Swords in a love triangle reading, I immediately understand that clarity is trying to break through all the confusion. This queen does not play games. She sits on her throne with her sword raised high, ready to cut through illusions and see the absolute truth of any situation. And Taurus, that is exactly what you are being called to do right now. This card is telling me that you already know the truth deep down. You might be avoiding it because it hurts or because you are hoping for a different outcome, but your inner wisdom is screaming at you. The Queen of Swords represents that part of you that can see through manipulation, lies, and false promises. She is the voice in your head that says, wait a minute, something does not add up here. And in a love triangle, there are always things that do not add up because someone is not being fully honest. What I find really interesting about this card in your reading is that it is asking you to step into her energy. You need to become the Queen of Swords right now. That means you have to be willing to ask the hard questions and actually listen to the answers. It means you have to stop making excuses for behavior that does not align with someone who truly values you. This queen has been through pain before, she has been betrayed and hurt, but she did not let that make her bitter. Instead, she became wiser. She learned to protect her heart not with walls but with discernment. The universe is asking you to use your mental clarity right now rather than getting lost in emotional confusion. I know that is easier said than done when you have feelings for people involved in this triangle. But Taurus, you are an earth sign and you have this incredible ability to be practical even when your heart is involved. The Queen of Swords is reminding you that love should not require you to constantly question where you stand. Real love is clear. It does not leave you wondering if you are the priority or the option. There is also something here about communication. This queen is a master communicator, and she is telling you that you might need to have a very direct conversation with the people involved. No more tiptoeing around the uncomfortable topics. No more pretending everything is fine when it is not. You deserve to know exactly what you are dealing with so you can make an informed decision about your future. The outcome of this triangle depends heavily on your willingness to speak your truth and demand transparency from others. And I want you to really sit with this because the Queen of Swords is not just about being honest with others. She is also about being brutally honest with yourself. Are you staying in this triangle because you genuinely believe it will work out? Or are you staying because you are afraid of being alone? Are you holding on to hope because you see real potential? Or because you have invested so much time that walking away feels like failure? These are the questions this queen wants you to answer. The second card that came through is the Eight of Wands, and this is where things get really interesting. After the clarity of the Queen of Swords, we have rapid movement and sudden developments. The Eight of Wands is one of those cards that makes me pay attention because it represents things happening fast. When this card shows up in a love triangle reading, it tells me that whatever is going to happen will happen quickly. There will not be this long, drawn-out period of waiting and wondering. Events are going to unfold at a pace that might actually surprise you. What I love about the Eight of Wands is that it cuts through stagnation. If this triangle has felt stuck or like nothing is moving forward, that is about to change dramatically. This card shows 8 wands flying through the air toward a destination, and there is nothing blocking their path. The sky is clear, the trajectory is set, and they are moving with speed and purpose. That is the energy coming into your situation. Now here is what you need to understand about this card. The Eight of Wands does not tell us whether the outcome is what we want or not. It just tells us that it is coming quickly. So if you have been waiting for clarity about who chooses who or how this triangle resolves, you are going to get that clarity very soon. The universe is done with the confusion and the back and forth. A decision is going to be made or a truth is going to come to light that changes everything. I am also seeing that communication plays a huge role here. The Eight of Wands often represents messages, texts, calls, or conversations that shift the dynamic. You might receive information that you have been waiting for. Someone might finally say what they have been holding back. There could be a confession or an admission that clears up all the uncertainty. And Taurus, you need to be prepared for this because when the Eight of Wands energy hits, you do not have a lot of time to process before you need to respond. There is also this sense of things coming full circle. Like all the energy that has been building in this triangle is finally reaching a breaking point. You know how sometimes situations just reach that moment where something has to give? That is what this card is showing me. The tension cannot be sustained anymore, and there is going to be a release of that energy through fast-moving events. What I want you to really prepare for is the emotional intensity of rapid change. Even if the change is ultimately positive, it can still feel overwhelming when things happen quickly. You might go from wondering what is going to happen to suddenly knowing exactly what is happening and then having to make quick decisions about your next steps. The Eight of Wands does not give you weeks to think things over. It asks you to trust your instincts and move with confidence. And here is something really important. This card is telling me that you cannot control the speed of what is coming. You cannot slow it down or speed it up. You can only prepare yourself to respond with clarity and strength when it arrives. That is why the Queen of Swords came first. You need that mental clarity and emotional detachment to handle whatever the Eight of Wands brings your way. The third card is Death, and I know that might sound scary, but please, hear me out because this is actually one of the most powerful cards you could get in this situation. The Death card is not about physical death. It is about transformation, endings, and rebirth. When death shows up in a love triangle reading, it is telling me that something in this situation absolutely has to end for something new and better to begin. What I am seeing with the Death card here is that this triangle cannot continue as it is. One way or another, the current dynamic is dying. And Taurus, I know that might bring up fear because change is uncomfortable even when we know it is necessary. But the Death card is actually a blessing in disguise because it clears away what is no longer serving you to make room for what truly aligns with your highest good. Think about it like this. A love triangle by its very nature is unstable. 3 points cannot maintain balance indefinitely. Someone is always feeling less than or uncertain or hurt. The Death card is saying that this instability is coming to an end. The triangle is transforming into something else. Maybe it becomes a clear partnership between two people while the third person steps away. Maybe all three people realize this dynamic is unhealthy and everyone goes their separate ways. Maybe you are the one who walks away from both options to choose yourself. What strikes me most about this card in your reading is that it is asking you to let go of how you thought this situation would turn out. You might have had a vision of how this triangle would resolve with you and one specific person ending up together. But the Death card is telling me that the universe has different plans, and those plans are actually better for you than what you were imagining, even if you cannot see that yet. There is also this theme of releasing old patterns. Taurus, you might have a history of getting involved in complicated relationship dynamics. You might have a pattern of choosing people who are unavailable or situations that keep you in a state of uncertainty. The Death card is asking you to let that pattern die. It has served its purpose in teaching you what you do not want, and now it needs to be released so you can step into healthier relationship dynamics. I am also seeing that this transformation is going to change you fundamentally. You are not going to be the same person on the other side of this situation. You are going to have a deeper understanding of your worth, clearer boundaries, and higher standards for how you allow people to treat you. The Death card is stripping away all the illusions you had about love and relationships and helping you see what real partnership should look like. And here is the thing about Death energy. It can feel like everything is falling apart. It can feel like you are losing something precious. But what you are actually losing is what was holding you back from your true destiny. The Death card clears the path for your authentic future to unfold. It removes people and situations that were blocking your blessings. There is also a spiritual aspect to this card that I want to mention. The Death card often indicates a spiritual awakening or a shift in consciousness. This love triangle situation is not just about romance. It is about your soul evolution. You are being asked to die to an old version of yourself that accepted less than you deserved and be reborn as someone who knows their value and will not settle. Now, we move to the fourth card, which is the Emperor. And this is such a significant shift in energy. After the transformation of the Death card, the Emperor comes in to establish new order and structure. This card is all about authority, stability, leadership, and taking control of your life. In the context of this love triangle, the Emperor is telling me that you need to step into your power and make an executive decision. The Emperor does not wait for other people to decide his fate. He does not sit around hoping that someone will choose him. He makes clear decisions based on logic, self-respect, and what serves his kingdom best. And Taurus, you are the Emperor of your own life. You get to decide what happens next. You do not have to wait passively for the other people in this triangle to figure out what they want. You can make a choice right now about what you want, and then take action to make that happen. What I am seeing with this card is that you are being called to set firm boundaries and stick to them. The Emperor is a master of boundaries. He knows where his kingdom ends and another begins. He does not allow people to cross into his territory without permission, and he definitely does not tolerate disrespect or manipulation. This is the energy you need to embody right now. In a love triangle, boundaries tend to get blurry. People cross lines, say things they should not say, make promises they cannot keep. The Emperor is saying that you need to establish very clear boundaries about what you will and will not accept. And once you set those boundaries, you need to enforce them consistently. If someone violates your boundaries, there need to be consequences. Otherwise, people will continue to treat you in ways that do not honor your worth. There is also this message about taking the leadership role in your own love life. You have been following the lead of others in this triangle, responding to their choices and their timeline. But the Emperor is telling you to flip that script. You need to lead yourself out of the situation. You need to be the one who says, this is what I want, this is what I need, and this is what I am willing to accept. If what you want does not match what is being offered, then you need to be willing to walk away. I am also seeing that the Emperor represents masculine energy, which could literally indicate that a masculine figure in this triangle is going to step up and make a clear choice. Someone is going to take responsibility and be direct about their intentions. This could be positive if it is the person you want choosing you clearly. Or it could be challenging if you realize that the person you wanted is choosing someone else, or choosing to remain uninvolved. But regardless of what the other people do, the Emperor is primarily asking you to embody this decisive, authoritative energy. You are being asked to be the adult in the room, to make the mature choice even if it is the hard choice, to prioritize your long-term well-being over short-term emotional satisfaction. The fifth card is Temperance, and this brings such a beautiful balancing energy after the Emperor. Temperance is about finding the middle path, about patience, about divine timing, and about blending opposing forces into harmony. When I see Temperance in a love triangle reading, it tells me that the outcome involves finding balance and possibly integrating lessons from this experience. What Temperance is showing me is that there is a need for patience right now, even though I know that is hard to hear. The Eight of Wands said things would move fast, and they will. But Temperance is reminding you that not everything resolves instantly. There is a period of adjustment and recalibration that needs to happen. You cannot rush through the transformation that the Death card initiated. You have to allow yourself time to integrate the changes and find your new equilibrium. This card is also about healing. After the intensity of a love triangle, there is emotional healing that needs to take place regardless of how things turn out. Temperance is asking you to be gentle with yourself during this process. Do not expect yourself to immediately bounce back or feel completely fine. Give yourself permission to feel whatever you are feeling and work through it at your own pace. There is also this beautiful message about divine timing. Temperance is an angel card, and it represents the idea that there is a higher plan at work here. The outcome of this triangle is not random. It is orchestrated by the universe to teach you something important and to move you closer to your destiny. Even if the outcome is not what you hoped for, trust that it is what you need for your highest evolution. I am seeing that Temperance might also indicate a need to balance your emotional and logical sides. You have the Queen of Swords telling you to use your mind, but you also have feelings that cannot be ignored. Temperance is saying you need both. You need to honor your emotions while also making rational decisions. You need to listen to your heart while also protecting it with smart boundaries. There is also this sense that you might need to find a middle ground in how you approach this situation. Not too passive, where you let others dictate everything, but also not so aggressive that you force outcomes that are not meant to be. Temperance walks the middle path between extremes, and that is what you are being asked to do. In terms of the actual outcome, Temperance suggests that there might be a period where things are not fully resolved, but you are in a much better place energetically. Like you have stepped out of the chaos of the triangle, but you are still processing what happened and figuring out your next steps. This is actually a really healthy place to be, because it means you are not rushing into anything new before you are truly ready. The sixth card is the Seven of Wands, and this is definitely a fighting energy. When the Seven of Wands appears, it shows someone standing on higher ground, defending their position against challengers. In a love triangle, this card tells me that there is competition, and you might need to defend your position or stand up for what you want. What I find interesting about this card here is that it comes after Temperance. So there is this message of finding balance and being patient, but there is also this message of you might need to fight for something. These are not contradictory. Sometimes balance means knowing when to fight and when to surrender. The Seven of Wands is telling me that you might feel like you are in a defensive position in this triangle. Maybe you feel like you are constantly having to prove your worth or compete for attention or fight to be seen and chosen. And Taurus, that is exhausting. This card is showing me that you have been holding your ground, trying to maintain your position, but it is taking a toll on your energy. Here is what the Seven of Wands wants you to understand. Yes, you can keep fighting if you want to. You have the strength and the determination to hold your position. But you need to ask yourself if what you are fighting for is actually worth the energy you are expending. Are you fighting for a relationship that truly serves you? Or are you fighting just because you do not want to lose or give up? There is also this message about standing in your power versus fighting from a place of insecurity. The Seven of Wands at its highest expression is about confidently defending what is rightfully yours. But at its lowest expression, it is about desperately trying to hold on to something that is slipping away. You need to be honest with yourself about which one you are doing. I am also seeing that this card could represent one of the other people in the triangle fighting for you, or fighting to maintain their position. There might be someone who is not ready to let you go, and they are going to put up resistance to any changes. Or there might be competition between the other two people for your attention. This creates more complexity in an already complex situation. What the Seven of Wands is ultimately asking is, what are you willing to fight for, and what are you willing to release? You cannot fight every battle. You have to choose where to put your energy, and sometimes the strongest move is not fighting at all but walking away with your dignity intact. The seventh card is the Knight of Swords, and this brings such fast, aggressive energy. The Knight of Swords charges forward with his sword raised, cutting through anything in his path. He is intellectual, direct, and sometimes ruthless in his pursuit of truth. When I see this card in a love triangle reading, it tells me that someone is going to charge forward with the truth or make a very sudden move. This knight does not hesitate. He does not second-guess himself. Once he decides on a course of action, he moves immediately and decisively. In the context of your triangle, this could mean that you or someone else is going to make a very bold move that shifts everything. This could be a confrontation, a confession, or a decision that cannot be taken back. What I am seeing is that the Knight of Swords brings cutting honesty. All the things that have been unsaid or hinted at but never directly addressed are going to be spoken out loud. This knight has no patience for games or indirect communication. He says exactly what he means and expects others to do the same. There is also this warrior energy with the Knight of Swords. He is ready for battle if necessary. He will defend his position aggressively, and he will not back down from conflict. In your situation, this might mean that there are going to be some uncomfortable confrontations or arguments as this triangle resolves. People might say hurtful things in their quest to be honest. Emotions might run high, but here is what you need to understand about the Knight of Swords. While his approach can be harsh, his intention is truth. He cuts away illusions not to be cruel but to reveal what is real. And sometimes we need that kind of brutal honesty to break through denial and see situations clearly. I am also picking up that this knight represents masculine energy taking decisive action. If there is a masculine person in your triangle who has been wishy-washy or unclear about their intentions, they are about to become very clear. They are going to make their choice known in a way that leaves no room for interpretation. The eighth card is the Page of Swords, and after the mature Knight of Swords, we get the younger Page of Swords. The page is curious, questioning, and always seeking information. When the Page of Swords appears in a love triangle reading, it tells me that there is still information you do not have. There are things being said behind the scenes or conversations happening that you are not part of yet. The Page of Swords is a messenger, and often this card indicates that news is coming. You might find out something that changes your understanding of the situation. Someone might share information with you that has been kept secret, or you might discover something through your own investigation. What I find interesting is that the Page of Swords has a quality of naivety or inexperience. This could represent someone in the triangle who is not as emotionally mature as they seem. Or it could represent that you are still learning about who these people truly are. You thought you knew them, but you are discovering new sides of their personality that surprise you. There is also this message about being watchful and observant. The Page of Swords is always paying attention, always gathering information. The universe is telling you to keep your eyes open right now. Do not ignore red flags or warning signs. Do not dismiss your intuition if something feels off. The Page of Swords wants you to be a detective in your own life, collecting evidence and making informed decisions based on what you observe. I am also seeing that this card can indicate gossip or people talking about this triangle situation. Others might have opinions about what you should do or what they think is happening. The Page of Swords asks you to be discerning about what information you trust and what you dismiss. Not everyone who claims to have your best interest at heart actually does. The 9th card is the 5 of Cups, and this brings a more somber energy. The 5 of Cups shows a figure in a black cloak staring at 3 spilled cups, while 2 cups remain standing behind them. This is the card of loss, grief, and disappointment. When it appears in a love triangle reading, it tells me that there is going to be sadness about how this situation resolves. What the 5 of Cups is showing me is that no matter what the outcome is, there is going to be a sense of loss. Even if you end up with the person you want, you might grieve the time wasted in uncertainty. Even if you walk away from both people, you will need to mourn the potential of what could have been. This is natural and valid, but here is the important message of the 5 of Cups. While the figure is focused on the 3 spilled cups, there are still 2 cups standing behind them. This means that even in loss, there is still something valuable remaining. Even in disappointment, there are still blessings to count. The 5 of Cups asks you to eventually turn around and see what is still good in your life, rather than only focusing on what went wrong. I am seeing that this card indicates the end of certain dreams or expectations. You might have imagined a specific future with one of these people, and that vision is not going to manifest the way you hoped. That is painful, and the 5 of Cups gives you permission to feel that pain. But it also asks you not to stay stuck in that grief forever. There is also this message about learning from disappointment. The 5 of Cups teaches us that loss is a part of life and a part of love. Not everything works out the way we want, and that is okay. What matters is what we do with that disappointment. Do we let it make us bitter and closed off, or do we let it make us wiser and more resilient? The 10th and final card is the King of Pentacles, and this is such a grounded, stable energy to end on. The King of Pentacles is mature, successful, practical, and generous. He has built something substantial in his life, and he shares his abundance with those he cares about. When I see this card at the outcome position of a love triangle reading, it tells me that ultimately you are moving toward stability and security. What the King of Pentacles is showing me is that after all the emotional drama and confusion of this triangle, you are going to find yourself in a much more solid place. This could mean that you end up with someone who offers you real commitment and security. Or it could mean that you choose yourself and focus on building your own stable, abundant life. Either way, the chaos of the triangle is replaced with something much more grounded. This king represents the energy of building something lasting. He does not do things halfway or make empty promises. When he commits to something, he follows through. So if someone in this triangle is represented by the King of Pentacles, they are going to offer you something real and tangible. They are going to back up their words with consistent actions. I am also seeing that this card indicates you coming into your own power and creating the life you want regardless of what happens with these relationships. The King of Pentacles is self-sufficient and successful on his own. He does not need anyone else to complete him or make him feel valuable. That is the energy you are stepping into. There is also a message about choosing substance over flash. The King of Pentacles is not impressed by grand gestures or sweet words. He cares about what is real and what lasts. As you move through this triangle situation, you are learning to value reliability over excitement, commitment over passion, and consistency over intensity. So Taurus, when I look at all 10 cards together, here is what I am seeing as the outcome of your love triangle. You are moving through a major transformation where clarity cuts through confusion and fast-moving events force decisions to be made. Something in this dynamic absolutely has to end so that something better can begin. You are being called to step into your power, make executive decisions about your life, and stop waiting for others to choose you. There will be confrontations and hard truths spoken. There will be information revealed that changes your perspective. You will need to fight for what matters while also knowing when to release what does not serve you. And ultimately, there will be some grief and disappointment as certain expectations die away. But on the other side of all this intensity, you are moving toward genuine stability. You are either going to be with someone who can offer you real commitment, or you are going to build a life for yourself that is so abundant and fulfilling that you do not need anyone else to complete you. Either way, you win. The universe is asking you to trust this process even when it feels painful. Everything that is happening is moving you closer to what you truly deserve. And what you deserve is so much better than a love triangle that leaves you constantly questioning your worth.